Hello everyone. Today my lecture is on hypothalamus. Now objectives are anatomy of hypothalamus, hypothalamic nuclei, connection of hypothalamus, functions of hypothalamus and applied aspects of hypothalamus. Now hypothalamus, that is a part of diencephalon which lies below the thalamus and it forms the floor and the lower parts of the lateral wall of third ventricle. So here this one is hypothalamus and this one is thalamus, wall of third ventricular cavity, and this one is fourth ventricle. Okay. Now anatomically the hypothalamus, which is a very small in size and weight is only about 4 gram and forming only 0.3% of the total brain mass, but physiologically there is a hardly any activity in the body that is not influenced by it. So the functional significance of the hypothalamus, that is disproportionate to its size. Hypothalamus, that controls the autonomic and endocrine system at the highest level, and so it is involved in some affective or emotional behavior. Being the principal autonomic center of the brain, it has been regarded as head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system by Sherrington. So hypothalamus, which plays a very important role in functions of autonomic nervous system, so it is known as head ganglion of autonomic nervous system by scientist Sherrington. So which are the boundaries of hypothalamus? So boundary of hypothalamus anteriorly. So lamina terminalis extends from the optic chiasma to anterior commissure. Okay. So this one is anterior commissure and this one is lamina terminalis. So anteriorly, this is the boundary of hypothalamus, this blue color, that is a hypothalamus, that indicates hypothalamus. And posteriorly there is a subthalamus, and inferiorly the structures in the floor of the third ventricular, tuber cinereum, infundibulum and mammillary bodies, and these structures are actually the part of the hypothalamus itself. And superiorly there is a thalamus, and laterally internal capsule, and medially the cavity of the third ventricle. Now subdivision of hypothalamus. Now for convenience of the description, the hypothalamus can be divided as from medial to lateral into two zones, medial zone and lateral zone. From anterior to posterior, the hypothalamic nuclear mass is arranged in four regions: preoptic region, then supraoptic region, tuberal region and mammillary region. So here this one is a preoptic, supraoptic and tuberal region and mammillary region and medial zone. Okay. Now medial zone. So in the medial zone, the hypothalamic nuclei, all these nuclei can be recognized from anterior to posterior. So part of the preoptic nucleus. So this one, part of preoptic nucleus and anterior nucleus, which merges with the preoptic nucleus, and part of the suprachiasmatic nucleus, this one, part of suprachiasmatic nucleus, then the paraventricular nucleus, this one, paraventricular nucleus, then dorsomedial nucleus, then ventromedial nucleus, this one, then infundibular nucleus, arcuate nucleus, then posterior nucleus. So in this figure the medial zone nuclei lying medial to the plane of the fornix and the mammillothalamic tract. So this one is a fornix. So area that lies medial to the plane of the fornix, that is medial zone nuclei. Now lateral zone. So in the lateral zone, the following hypothalamic nuclei can be recognized from anterior to posterior. Part of the preoptic nucleus, part of the suprachiasmatic nucleus and supraoptic nucleus, then lateral nucleus, then tuberomammillary nucleus and lateral tubular nuclei. And some of the nuclei such as preoptic nucleus and suprachiasmatic nucleus and the mammillary nuclei overlap both the zone. So this one is a coronal section of the cerebral hemisphere that shows the position of the hypothalamic nuclei. So this one is a dorsomedial nucleus and this one is a fornix. Lateral nucleus, ventromedial nucleus, then tubulomammillary nucleus, infundibular nucleus. This one is a paraventricular nucleus. Now the nuclear masses of the hypothalamus present in the different region of the hypothalamus. Now in the preoptic region, it is located behind the lamina terminalis and it contains preoptic nucleus. So this one is a preoptic region and that contains preoptic nucleus. Then supraoptic region, it lies above the optic chiasma and rostrally continuous with the preoptic area. So this one is a preoptic area and rostrally it is continuous with the preoptic area and it forms the anterior nucleus group and that includes suprachiasmatic nucleus, then supraoptic that and paraventricular. Okay, so this one is a paraventricular, then preoptic region, this one is a and suprachiasmatic nucleus and supraoptic nucleus. So this is about hypothalamic nuclei. Now tuberal region. So it is the widest region of the hypothalamus and forms the middle nuclear group which includes dorsomedial, lateral, tuberal, ventromedial and arcuate nucleus. Then in the mammillary region, it forms the posterior nuclear group and which includes the posterior and mammillary nucleus. So this one is a figure of hypothalamic nuclei. Now main hypothalamic nuclei function. So there are so many nucleus that are present in a hypothalamic region and there are a specific function of each and every nucleus. So supraoptic nucleus that synthesize vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone. Paraventricular nucleus synthesize oxytocin. Preoptic and anterior nuclei control parasympathetic system. Posterior and lateral nuclei control sympathetic system and anterior hypothalamic nuclei that regulates temperature response to heat and posterior hypothalamic nuclei that regulate temperature response to cold. Lateral hypothalamic nuclei that initiate eating and increases food intake by stimulating hunger center. In medial hypothalamic nuclei that inhibits the eating and reduce the food intake by satiety center and lateral hypothalamic nuclei that increase water intake by stimulating thirst center. Suprachiasmatic nucleus that controls circadian rhythm. So this one is a figure of control center of the hypothalamus sagittal view. So there are a nucleus and there is a also written is function. Then connection of hypothalamus. So hypothalamic nuclei receive a number of the projection from the different parts of the brain. So there are a afferent connection. of hypothalamus. So first of all, corticomammillary fibers. So area 6A and cingulated gyrus means area 23 and 24 project on the mammillary body and also the hippocampus to mammillary nuclei through fornix. And fibers from the medial thalamic nuclei, from the dorsomedial thalamic nucleus and also from the midline nucleus to hypothalamus through the thalamo-hypothalamic fibers. Then mesencephalic reticular formation. From the mesencephalic reticular formation to hypothalamus through the reticulohypothalamic fibers. Then olfacto-hypothalamic fibers. From the olfactory bulb and the anterior perforated substance to the hypothalamic nuclei through the medial forebrain bundle. Then globus pallidus. From the globus pallidus to the hypothalamus, the tract's name is pallidohypothalamic tract via the medial forebrain bundle and ansa reticularis. Then precentral motor area. From the precentral motor area 6 and prefrontal area of the cerebral cortex to the supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei through the corticohypothalamic fibers. Now area 6, that is also projected bilaterally on the ventromedial nucleus of pars tubralis, and area 8 and 10 that activate the supraoptic nucleus, whereas the area 10, 46 and 47 that activate paraventricular nucleus. Then orbital lobe projection. So area 13, the posterior part of the orbital cortex that projects partly on the ventromedial hypothalamic nucleus and also projects on the supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. Now about the efferent connection of hypothalamus. So hypothalamus that sends in turn a number of the projection to different areas. So mammillothalamic tract from the medial mammillary nucleus to anterior nucleus of thalamus and to the dorsomedial thalamic nucleus and thence to the area 11, 12, 10, 9, 8, 45, 46 and 47 of the cerebral cortex means periventricular projection. Then efferent fibers of the hypothalamus are projected mainly to anteroventral group of the thalamus and thence it is projected to the area 23 and 24. Hypophysis hypothalamic hypophyseal tract. From the supraoptic, paraventricular and tubral nuclei to the posterior pituitary. Majority of the fibers end in the pituicides of the pars nervosa. Some fibers also end in the pars intermedia. And this connection is made up of a number of a very thin unmyelinated fibers which by anastomosis end round the capillary vessels of neurohypophysis. Then from the lateral hypothalamic nucleus to the reticular formation of the tegmentum and autonomic nuclei in the brainstem and lateral horn cells of the spinal cord. Fibers controlling the parasympathetic system that originate from the middle hypothalamic nuclei and those for the sympathetic system arise from the posterior hypothalamic nuclei. So this one is a figure of the main afferent and efferent connection of the hypothalamus. Now the hypothalamic region that lies outside the blood-brain barrier. So first of all, organum vasculosum of the lamina terminalis OVLT, then subfornical organ SFO and area postrema. So this one is a subfornical organ, then this one is a subcommissural organ, then area postrema, then this one is a neurohypophysis, okay, and this one is a vascular organ. Now these hypothalamic area are present in the ventral part of median eminence. This one, median eminence. Since the portal vessels arises in the median eminence, the region in the median eminence of the hypothalamus are present outside the blood-brain barrier. And this region of the hypothalamus also detect change in the osmolality of the blood and are involved in the regulation of the blood volume and water intake. Now we discuss about the functions of hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus that controls the many homeostatic functions, visceral, behavioral function, sleep wakefulness, circadian rhythm and reproductive function. So first of all we discuss about the endocrine function, then second autonomic function, then circadian rhythm, fourth one is temperature regulation, regulation of the food intake, regulation of water intake, reproductive function, influence on the emotion, and what is the role of hypothalamus in the sleep, and what is the role of hypothalamus in immunological function. So first of all, we discuss about the endocrine function. So hypothalamus that controls the endocrine functions via its connection with the pituitary gland. It controls both anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary functions. Hypothalamus is connected with the anterior pituitary through the portal hypophyseal vessels and with the posterior pituitary via hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. So figure in the figure A, there is a hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract, and in figure B there is a hypophyseal portal vessels. So this one is a hypophyseal portal vein, then vascular sinusoids and inferior hypophyseal artery, and this one is a anterior lobe of hypophysis cerebri. Okay. And this one is a hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. This one is a supraoptic and paraventricular nucleus. And this one is a hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. And this one is a anterior lobe and this one is a posterior lobe of pituitary gland. So first of all, control of anterior pituitary function. So hypothalamus that controls the functions of the anterior pituitary by secreting certain releasing and inhibiting hormone which reach the anterior pituitary by a neurovascular link through the tuberoinfundibular tract and hypophyseal portal vessel. So this one is a list of the releasing and inhibiting hormone. Growth hormone releasing hormone, growth hormone inhibiting hormone, corticotropic releasing hormone, thyrotropin releasing hormone, then gonadotropin releasing hormone, prolactin inhibitory hormone. And so this one is a list of releasing and inhibitory hormone. And from the pituitary gland, which hormones are secreted? So these are mentioned here. Now hypothalamus that does the functions through the releasing hormone. So first of all, it controls the metabolism by controlling the thyroid gland. Through its influence over the adrenal cortex, it controls the metabolism of the different foodstuff and maintains the electrolyte balance. So this one is a posterior pituitary and this one is a anterior pituitary. This one is a paraventricular nucleus and this one is a hypothalamus and this one is supraoptic nucleus. It keeps the gonads inhibited till the physical growth is complete. After the physical growth is complete, this inhibition is removed so that the gonads start functioning and gametes are produced for purpose of propagation of species. Gonadal hormones acting on the brain bring about the physiological changes for mating of male and female and control the formation of the milk by the breast by controlling the prolactin secretion. Now the control of posterior pituitary function. How it controls the functions of posterior pituitary. So ADH from the supraoptic nucleus. So this one is supraoptic nucleus, this one is paraventricular nucleus that secrete ADH and that secrete oxytocin. So this one is posterior pituitary, this one is anterior pituitary, and this one there is an inflow of the blood in artery, that axon terminals release the hormones to capillaries, and this one is capillary bed and outflow of the blood through vein. So now hypothalamus that secretes two hormones, antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin, and these hormones are synthesized by the neurons of supraoptic and paraventricular nucleus of hypothalamus. They are transported along their axon to posterior pituitary, means hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract, where they are stored and released into the circulation at a time of need. Now the hypothalamus that regulates the posterior pituitary function through hypothalamic hypophyseal tract. Now neural control of the posterior pituitary with the secretion of the antidiuretic hormone by supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei that helps in the regulation of the water balance by controlling the water excretion by the kidney. Then regulation of the uterine contractility and regulation of the milk ejection from the breast. So stimulation of the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus that causes its cells to secrete the hormone oxytocin. Now oxytocin that increases the contractility of the uterus, and it also contracts the myoepithelial cells that surrounds the alveoli of the breast and causes milk ejection. And at the end of the pregnancy, especially the large quantities of the oxytocin are secreted. Oxytocin helps to promote the labor contraction. Now when the baby suckles the breast, signals from the nipple to the hypothalamus that cause reflex oxytocin release, and that causes expulsion of the milk through the nipples. Now second function is control of circadian rhythm. So hypothalamus first function is endocrine function, and hypothalamus that controls the function of anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Then second one is control of circadian rhythm. Now the circadian rhythm that refers to rhythmic fluctuation in certain physiological parameters of the body. And these are called circadian rhythm because they often show the 24-hour cycles circadian around a day, and many of the rhythms are coordinated with each other. Now the common rhythmic variation in the homeostatic regulatory mechanism are rhythmic secretion of ACTH, rhythmic secretion of growth hormone, rhythmic secretion of melatonin, sleep-wake cycle, body temperature rhythm, and rhythmic gonadotropin secretion. Now what are the bases of circadian rhythm? So circadian rhythm are internally driven. The suprachiasmatic nuclei of the hypothalamus, that is the main site of the most circadian rhythm in the body. These are believed to contain the biological clock which regulates the circadian rhythm according to the 24 hours light and dark cycles. The suprachiasmatic nuclei receive the important inputs from the eyes via retinohypothalamic fibers and the lateral geniculate nuclei. Effect of the environmental factors on the circadian rhythm. What are the effect of environmental factors? So environmental factors such as light dark cycles, temperature, meal timing, etc. that only provide hints, and they are required only to set a circadian rhythm cycle of 24 hours. Otherwise, the circadian rhythms are internally driven and can occur in the absence of the environmental factors as evidenced like, for example, normally the rates show the locomotor activity in the dark, means at night, and inactivity in the daytime. And these cycles of the activity and inactivity that continue even when the rates are put permanently in the darkened laboratory for a few days with no exposure to light, and the cycles of the activity and inactivity can be disrupted by bilateral lesion of suprachiasmatic nuclei. Then what is the physiological significance of circadian rhythm? So circadian rhythm that enables the homeostatic mechanism to be utilized immediately and automatically. For example, there is a rhythm in the urinary excretion of ACTH, and the circadian rhythm have effect on the body's resistance to various drugs. For example, the difference in the sensitivity of the dose of a potentially lethal drug that depends markedly on the time of the drug is given. This is the list of the reference book: Guyton, Ganong, Snell's Clinical Neuroanatomy, then Indu Khurana, Dr. G.K. Pal and R.N. Bijlani, then Sibya Sachi Sirkar and Vijaya Joshi, and from the internet sources. So thank you very much.